to do.
All right. Hello, Sunshine. Welcome back to another episode of ABLAZE podcast. Today is a very special episode again. And I have been reunited with my good friend TGAR.
Hello.
And we're actually at his place, which is also very cool because I have never been to any of your places before.
No.
And you have always very kindly made the trek out from the west to my area.
I'm like that with everyone. Like, it's rare that I ever have anyone.
Like when you did our West Day.
Yeah.
Which is also kind of funny because, like, it always made sense to me, like, when I remember when you mentioned, when we were talking about you saying, oh, you know, I don't want to, like, be performing, like, at 10 o'clock because it means, like, I get home really late and I sleep at 10 o'clock. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, that's, like, relatable. Because I had a friend who worked with me in the cafe, and every time we go out for drinks or something, she'd be like, oh, guys, it's probably time for me to head off because she has to account for, like, 2 hours of traveling.
Yeah.
And she didn't drive, so that's even worse.
Well, you think about how long it took you to get here today.
Yeah.
Add on an extra half an hour.
I know, and that was a long trek already.
Yeah.
And not to mention, like, all the public transport just seems to be fucking itself up, like, in every way possible.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised it took you the way it did, because, like I said,
weird.
When you look on the map, it looks like you said it took you to Maryland's, right?
It said to go to Maryland's, get off there, and then I think there was, like, at least still like a 15-minute walk. Like, it wasn't. Oh, actually, no. I think it was like Maryland's, get a bus, and then there was probably like a 5
I was gonna say
walk. So that looked very promising. That's why I was like, carrying all this stuff would be fine.
Yeah.
And then it changed its mind this morning, didn't show any of that, and I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, okay, well, maybe something's changed overnight. It does happen. And I was like, hence why I checked that and set time a bit earlier. Then it was like, go to Parramatta. Like, so I get this train, so I went to Redfern, get to Parramatta. But then when I was checking the last train, I was like, oh wait, how many stops do I have? And then it was like, oh, you should get off at Granville. Granville will take you this, and you walk 17 minutes. I was like, but I still have to walk 17 minutes? I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, and then while I was making that decision, the door closed and I was like, well, I'm not getting off at Granville apparently. So I was like, okay, well, now it's telling me to go to Parramatta still. So I'm like, go to Parramatta. Got off at Parramatta. It was like, oh, you're going to walk like, 17 minutes still. Get on the bus. The bus like has an estimated time. Like I checked a bit earlier. It was like still at least 5 minutes away from the time that it's supposed to reach a stop. And it was already off track. It was like not even in the right direction. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, it was all in the right place until that last little bit. And then I can just see as I refreshed it, the time was like 35-minute walk, 45-minute walk. And I was like, so I can either get off, get pretty much exactly the same bus and go back the same direction, but still have to walk 17 minutes. I was like, in the long run, I think may as well just walk the whole distance. And I still walked faster, but overall it was pretty accurate to the time I said. It was like about 35-minute walk, I think, which wasn't too bad because this area is generally pretty much all flat.
Yeah.
Because in my area, oh my god, Redfern, Waterloo area is just ups and downs everywhere and so many corners.
But I'm surprised it took you that way. Oh, surprised and not surprised, because when I first moved here, because I started literally my job the second I moved in, like it was the same within a couple of days. And so I was looking at public transport and I was like, when I looked at the map, it said that Wentworthville and I think Granville was another one and Guildford or something were like the closest stations. But they were all like, the closest walking one was Maryland's, which was 40-minute walk. I'm like, what the fuck is that? And I drove around to all of them to find out about parking, because I was like, at least if I can drive there.
Yeah.
Nowhere had parking until I found the one at Wentworthville, and there's like heaps of free parking there. And I was like, bro, it's literally 5-10 minute drive. Why has it told me every other place other than here? So I'm surprised. That's why I'm surprised, but not surprised that it took you there, but not Wentworthville, because Wentworthville is like you can catch a train from Redfern, it will go straight to Wentworthville, like it will stop at Para. I think.
It did say. Actually, no, it did say that. That was the original one. That's what it was. Oh god, my memory is so bad. But yeah, it said Redfern, Wentworthville, and it should have been like a very short walk. But then just none of that came up. I mean, like I rely on that because on my direct introduction is so bad. I don't really like to go offbeat until like I've actually been familiar with, and this is not a place I've been to or an area I've been to before. So I was just pretty much dicked over by every kind of public transport today. And then like, there's also no metros running. So I was just like, that's just the usual thing. So I'm like, this is by the way, something we did in uni. All the friends that I had, we had a friend group, we all came up with adopted like a name for city rail. It was called Shitty Fail.
Yeah.
And it's apparently there's a few different versions for people. Some people have adopted certain names for certain bus numbers.
Yeah.
Because of like how it sounds, and then like because of how terrible they are. And I was like, sounds like Sydney's not doing all right with our transport. How can they be so advanced but so bad at the same time?
Yeah, bro, I remember when I was younger, I always used to have problems with public transport. It's funny saying that I have not had a single problem since I've been here with the trains. Touch wood.
That's good. I mean, I'm sure next time will work out a lot better now that I actually know how it works and where is actually the closest. It's funny because when I was walking, then I walked past Maryland's sign and I was just like, yeah. It's just like, wow.
It seems like it would be the closest to, because when you come out of this street, literally it's the street over, you're already in Maryland, so it's like, oh yeah, it makes sense. But to get to the station from here is literally like 10-15 minutes. When you do, there's nowhere to park at all.
Yeah, and I feel like you have to work all the, like, the thing about going to a new place is learning where to grocery shop and everything as well.
Yeah.
Like working out all the things that you need to do just for daily things. But in such a short amount of time, like unpacking, packing, setting up, getting like kind of settled in. It's like, I mean, like you did say, you're also a bit of an anxious person. Like for me, I feel like moving always makes me very anxious, mostly because I'm very shit at packing.
Yep. So my partner hates me. I wait until I think I started packing the night before or something, and I literally just throw shit in plastic bags. Like that's how poor it is. Because she's like, I do put stuff in boxes as well.
String things together.
Yeah, like with clothes and stuff. She's like, oh, make sure you do everything neatly. She wasn't around. I'm like, bro, I don't have time for this shit. Just throw shit in bags and stuff. Like I still made it look neat, but she's like, that's not neat enough. Like she was pissed off, but I'm like, yeah. She was only pissed off because she was the one that ended up unpacking a lot of it.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was very busy.
Then it's really hard to kind of work with the system because there's no system. Like, I'm the type that I ended up like trying to improve the last time I moved, but the funny thing was that improvement kind of backfired. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll get some boxes. Didn't get enough boxes, so I still kind of had to revert back to the old method for a lot of things. Some of the boxes were like not really good boxes. And then last of all, I didn't label some of the boxes. So it was kind of like playing Russian roulette at some point. I was just like, oh, close, not close, close, not close, close, not close.
That's all I do as well. I don't even tape them. I literally like fold the flaps within each other and I just open them up. Wrong box, wrong
By the
box.
way, because I'm so shy with new people too, I wanted everything just moved into my room instead so I can just unpack it quietly in my room while I like kind of just settled in. Yep. That was the worst decision ever. Just imagine this half space with a mattress, a bed frame in there, with like headboard, boxes piled up, and I'm like, I'm really surprised I unpacked everything in a day, given the amount of space I had to work with was probably like a person's gap.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like playing Rubik's Cube, kind of like, how can I move this? Not too much, but unpack it.
Yeah, it's a bit like that.
No, it's. I was like, this is why you need to be a little bit more social.
Yep. Oh, look, I do everything myself too. Like, whenever I do move, I don't ever pay a removalist. I never hire anything. I literally borrow a ute and I do everything. Like, I just pack everything myself. I think that's why I'll know where everything goes, even though it's such chaos.
Yeah.
Like, nothing's labeled or anything.
It's so expensive too. Like, I noticed with the last time I moved was like 9 years ago before the current place. And back then, I think it was like maybe like under $100 for like a whole like move, like, and it was like a decent area. I think it was like moving from somewhere like Cogra to like Potts Point, which is city center. So yeah, that was a decent move. But like from this place, which was like, you know, city center to Waterloo, it literally cost me I think like 200 and something, and I was like, that's a ridiculous amount for like such a.
That is cheap. I thought it was a lot worse. I'm pretty sure to hire something is. Like, to hire a truck by itself, I thought it was like $400.
Well, a lot of them were. That was the cheapest one that I could find, and even then there were hidden costs that like were added on at the end.
But that's just hiring a truck. That's not getting removalists. Removalists are like $1,000 or some shit. Like,
yeah, I mean, fair enough. It is a hard job, but at the same time, just like, damn, it's increased a lot over time.
Yeah. I don't know. I personally, because I come from cabinetry as well, I much rather go through the labor of just. Surprisingly, I don't know why. I enjoy that bit. Like, everything else can go suck a dick, but but the actual like pack and move, like the actual moving part is the enjoyable part for me. It's shit and it's hard, but
Yeah, I get excited about unpacking. I'm very, very nervous and very just avoidant almost, like when it comes down to cleaning the place, and like, because I'm like, in my old place, I was decently responsible, but I would say I'm not a very good, like, constant cleaner. Like, I'm not one person who will go, like, now at my new place, I think I've established, so it's actually been a good influence. I actually established better routines for, like, you know, laundry and all that kind of stuff. Plus the new place, my old place had no laundry machine, had no dryer. This new place has laundry machine and dryer. That makes laundry a lot easier to be consistent and also just be more reliable.
Did you go to a laundromat or something?
Yeah, I had to go downstairs. I was like very close, like 2 doors down from like a laundromat, but obviously that cost a lot of money every time.
Yeah.
And you know, like, I was paid monthly at the time, and then when you're paid monthly, rent is so expensive as well. It was like $550 by the time I left, which meant that, like, and I was paid like barely $30 by the last year that I was there.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, when you do that, that means when you get paid, you go, oh my god, money! And you go, okay, so that's like a fortnight of like rent, and you pay that, and you go,
It's like, so with this new job, I think I told you that I've actually landed a deal already, which is fantastic. And everyone's like, oh, like, because I'm surrounded by a lot of girls, like, out for whatever reason, our team
really?
where I work is like
Honestly,
more girls than there is guys. The rest of the floor is all guys.
I actually find it's probably a lot more like structured though. Like, it's usually more organized with a more feminine team.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or maybe it's at least in hospitality, in my job, I've noticed most of the girls, actually no, early stage when I worked there, the girls were terrible. But then the later ones, they were all really, really good.
Yeah. But yeah, because they're all girls, they're like, oh, what are you going to do with your money when you're spending, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, it's literally going to bills, I'll invest it. It turns out, so I'll be open about it, right? So it was a deal that I think was like 83,000 or 84,000 or something. That was like the total price, but I only get a percentage of that. So
this is salary based, or
no? So this is commission. So this is because I'm in sales. It was pretty much someone had signed a deal with us. And that deal signed for 83,000.
Oh, okay, and
right?
Whatever percentage that they tell you.
Yeah, so on like a normal pay, I normally get like 2%, which sounds like fuck all, right? But there was incentive; it was pushed to 3%. So out of that 83,000, whatever it was, I think the percentage is 2.4k. But that's before you get taxed, so then it's even less money. I think it ends up being like $1,600.
Yeah.
And because I've moved, there was a lot of stuff I never used to put in my budget that I've now put in my budget. So my expenses have become more than what they already were. And it's like, I need to be making at least $1,000 in commission every month just to meet, just to meet my standard so I can live. and then whatever I get after that is like, yeah, sweet. But because I've just moved, there's still stuff I need to pay. Tax return happen. I owe tax. It's like all that money's gone back straight towards bills. So it's like, yeah, it's rough, bro.
That is. But like, you know, I was going to ask, like, how are you finding the new job, like, adjusting so far? Because, like, it seems pretty good. Like, is it an area you're feeling pretty interested in compared to, like, your old job? Like, I guess obviously time-wise, it's opened up a lot.
Yeah.
Stress-wise, is it, like, okay, like, compared to your old job?
It's tough, bro.
It's tough.
It is fucking
Sales is
tough.
very, I think, like, it's a very personable area. So I think, like, on one, when you think about it, I guess it kind of suits you in that sense. Yeah, because like my cousin that I live with, he was a very person, but he was also like kind of a dick. So I was like, so, you know, it kind of goes to both ways. He's like a different type to you. Like, you're personable, so like the connections I think will be really good connections. He's more like the, let's just say, like a little bit schlick and like very good at like sucking up to people and like that type of salesman. So he's very good with that.
Yeah.
Hope he doesn't end up watching this at some point. I'm in strange stream, so I don't know where he is, but let's hope this doesn't land.
I think that ends up working better, right? So I've been struggling, and I think the reason for that is because I am very, like, I connect with people and I'm very honest. And so when I'm landing meetings, they're fucking quality meetings, but it's a lot harder to land those meetings.
Yeah.
And it's because of what we talked about before of like, especially in Australia. So we just filmed an episode on my channel. So if you want to go know about what we're even talking about.
Down below.
Yeah. But it goes to say what we were talking about before of like people in Australia, they don't want to connect. Like there's such a wall between people. And so for me, it's a lot harder to actually get that initial that person to be initially interested, if that makes sense.
It makes sense. Like I feel like we're in this because we talked about like I said in the other episode, we're talking about connections and how Aussies have been kind of described by someone who was not from here, who lived here for a while, that we are laid back, but that also kind of rubs off in the sense that we seem to be a little bit struggling to go beyond the surface level conversations or interactions. Like we might say we hang out, but we won't.
Yeah.
Because that's what you say, but you don't. But I feel like that's also coming off as like, I mean, I probably proved that point because the whole conversation about when we first met, you being friendly, and I thought it was a scam. I think that does come off with a lot of people. Like people think being nice means ulterior motives these days.
Yeah.
Because so many people are based on, I guess, like beneficial relations, which is fundamentally wrong. But unfortunately, it is kind of like a pretty big, I guess, like a big trend, or like people moving towards that, or kind of having that kind of mindset. Yeah. So like I think that could be one of the reasons why, like especially when it comes to business, a lot of people probably have that kind of orientation. It's very easy to tell apart like businesses that run on like that kind of mindset, or businesses that have a more positive sort of outlook on things.
Yeah.
But I think it's often more like smaller businesses rather than big industries that probably have like that kind of mindset. So it would be probably a little bit harder on your end.
Yeah. I think they're very much, they're people, so people that run businesses, right, they think that they're doing everything right, they have everything in place, they know what they're doing because they've been running it for X amount of years and they're still running it. But there's always gaps, there's always things you can improve on. And me as a person, I always want to improve myself. I'm always, studying on stuff. I'm still reading at the moment. I'm constantly trying to grow and improve as a person, whereas a lot of people, especially in Australia, that run a business, it's like what they have works for them and they don't want to change that at all.
Yeah, we're very set on routines.
Yeah, which makes it really hard to get those quality meetings, but it's the people that are open, or the people that like I can make aware that don't have the right things in place are like, oh shit, like this is a conversation worth having. But it's like social media, what we're talking about before, again, link in the description. But, people have such short attention spans that if you can't hook someone within the first, like, couple of seconds and they hear some of the wrong words. So we sell work health safety and HR relations, like, sort of packages that help people in those areas. And something you have to mention straight off the rip is like, it's just in relation to fair and safe work and like obligations. The second people hear shit like that as a business owner, they're like, you're trying to sell me something, fuck off, like straight off the rip. So it's really
like more expense is usually not a good idea for a business, obviously, but that's where it kind of comes into having those meetings.
Well, yeah, if you take your business serious, it's like,
I think from one of the things, like recent takeaways I've noticed is a lot of conversation. I brought this up when we were talking privately earlier on about statistics being a very, very good debate ender.
Yeah.
And I think if you work on like being able to grab some statistics for businesses that you're having meetings with, start off with like statistics and then kind of working into like what you said that you're good at with like all the intentions and what you're selling. And then I think it's really important to kind of wrap it up with kind of essentially like, well, how big is the difference with the statistics? Like, how am I going to change your statistics?
Yeah.
Like, how is this going to like actually make you more money if money's the problem, which it seems like most businesses obviously would be struggling with.
Yeah, but that's the catch on it. Hey, it's like you've got to, everyone has a different style within the business too, and you've got to figure out what works for you. I'm very much like a connection person. I try and like connect with the people. Like when I first started, I actually came up with a thing where I was giving a Love Island introduction just to warm up to the person, show them that I'm just a normal person. But it's hard because some people loved it, but but they weren't the right person to speak to, and it was like,
like the people who aren't in charge.
Yeah. So I'm just wasting my time, just having a good time. But then people that are taking the business serious are like, I don't have time for this shit, fuck off. But then, like, you've got to be straight to the point. But if you're straight to the point, people think you're just selling to them. So it's like trying to find a fine line between that, because you're 100% right. Like, even the book I'm reading at the moment is like, if you can provide value straight off the rip and be like, look, I'm going to save you so much stress, so much time, so much money. All you need to do is hear me out, you know, and actually like see the value in this to invest in this. Like, it's tricky, bro. Like,
I think it's hard at the moment because you also have to consider the fact that you are new to like this area, and it's actually very impressive that you're able to start it off and like bring in your personality as one of the fundamental things already. Because I think all you have to do is, it's kind of like relating it to, from my experience, kind of like podcasting. You're starting the business. Took me about a year before I kind of fully set it up to like the running schedule. Then it took me a little bit longer than that, where I kind of settled in and go, oh, hey, this is how I'm going to introduce the motto to people. This is how the motto stands out. This is how to kind of summarize and pitch everything down to one paragraph. This is how to link them and stuff. I think you just kind of have to kind of shuffle the right things around, balance it out to the right degree of personality. Because everything, if you think about it, it's kind of like when I connect with artists, when you're like working with a different artists, obviously you need your personality and your connection. That is what like kind of solidifies your connection, works on future kind of productions. But you also don't want to overdo that. But you also need the statistical side of things and like the technical side of things, like I can do what you need, I can offer you more, all that kind of stuff. So I think it's like kind of finding the right workflow and balance, kind of like working on your pitch essentially, I guess. And it would work out. I think like definitely hold on to the personality part. I think that's actually a good thing, and obviously enough people enjoy it that like more people will probably vouch for you in the future. You never know how connections will work in like a hierarchy, let's say.
That's how I'm trying to play it too, is like, don't get in my own head. Like, if things aren't working the way I want to now, it doesn't matter, because I'm leaving that intention, and what I'm doing is leaving that thought in people's head, and it will come back tenfold. Like, it's the exact same with music, right? Like, it takes so fucking long, but it's those foundational steps and those connections you make and the effort you put in, like all the time, and staying consistent with it, that actually makes it worth it in the end. Yeah,
and I think like this is why there's so many substantially like good, like fundamentally good channels that you, or accounts that you come across. They'll often have that one video where they probably stood up for something that they really like, cherish or care about, or a subject that they think is very fundamental and isn't popular, and people would then just go, I'm unfollowing you, oh, you should stick in like this topic. But then they'll be like, just do it, I don't care, I'd rather lose these followers than lose like my integrity. And I think that's kind of like where it's really at, like, you'd rather at an early stage have very slow increase of people rather than like 10 people suddenly follow and then 10 people unfollow like within the next day. You'd rather have one person follow you, stay within it for the next 10 years. That's like what really counts and what really sells towards things. And maybe those will be the ones that, even bring you like partnerships or, like things like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
no, you're 100% right, because the people that are around there that have been there for longer, like the
business is not going to be good anyway.
Like they just like they're only thing they care about is booking meetings, because that's what the business wants us to do. Like, if you're booking meetings, and if like that's a good thing, but the problem with that is you're not profiting off of that. You're not making money. They're setting shit meetings that aren't signing. They don't care. They're like, I'm just doing my job, you know what I mean? But I want to do more than my job. I want to help people. Like, that's just who I am. So I'm making sure that I'm taking those extra steps. I don't care if it takes longer, because I know I'm making a difference. But it's when you're doing it every day, so I'm pumping like more than 200 calls every single day, and it's a lot of just rejection all day long, every day. It does get very difficult, but regardless, I know that it's going to make a difference in the end, and that's what matters. It's mindset. It's all mindset at the end of the day, because it's like keeping that in mind. Why am I doing this in the first place? And keeping that at the forefront of my head. Whereas, like, the obvious feeling comes up of, like, bro, I'm fucking over this. Like, it's just, I'm putting so much effort in. It's just rejection after rejection and nothing's happening.
Networking is one of the hardest things I feel like about building any kind of business or content. It's like the amount of times you either get, like, completely, like, not ignored, but, like, people just miss DMs and stuff. Some people just don't read DMs. Some people are just not into podcasts or, like, things like that. So they'll just reply and say, like, cool, thanks for the opportunity. I don't do that stuff. You know, and then there's also people who will, like, the worst kind, I think, is the ones that are, like, almost successful. I don't know what a good term would be to coin it, but we should coin something for that. But it's like the ones that are like, yeah, let's do it, and then probably nothing happens, or the ones that get so close that you're scheduling and you're like almost happening, and then something happens and it just falls through completely forever.
You know what you should do that just came to mind now? Do exactly what I did. Don't even mention your podcast. Literally just hit people up and get to know them. And then
that's true.
You posting videos of you podcasting, if they're interested, they'll be like, oh bro, this guy does a podcast, and you're already talking, the conversation will come up at some point. Don't be like, hey, like, don't message him straight away, be like, hey, I do this podcast.
It's funny that you said that. I do sometimes like message people straight away, but it's actually really funny. So what I do is, because I use my main account, Sugar Lab, if you guys follow that one, and then I only post like, you know, like my shorts or my actual like content on the main channel on Instagram. So what I do is I often find new artists through that, right? So what I normally do is I kind of suss out their music, because I'm not really interested in interviewing like an artist if I'm only really particularly interested in one song. You know, there's a lot of artists where you'd be like, I like this song, and the majority of their music you're like, not really my thing. And then eventually it just kind of fades out of your algorithm or kind of your routine, like, or playlist. So I tend to do that with a lot of different artists, or it might just be someone I follow, and then eventually I go, you know what, this would actually become really relevant, or this would be really cool to learn about. But I think that's the main thing that I like to enjoy as well. I like to enjoy the content and then feel out someone first. And then that makes it a lot easier when you then kind of comment. And I've started doing pictures, well, not pictures, I actually just kind of go, wow, I really like this is so cool, talk about it. They go, I'd really love to interview in a podcast. I do a podcast. And then they'll be like, oh yeah, let's do that. And I'm like, cool, I'll DM you. So that worked pretty well. There are other ways where I just kind of like have two notes, where one note's called interviewees, like interviews are when people I want to interview, and one's just like green lighted, and it'll just be like people moved around and with a green tick. So I know like who is willing to do it. But it's really interesting. Like Eli's partner is actually like someone who does like witchcraft and sells really cool stuff, and I felt like, I was like, wow, that's such a unique area.
Niche as fuck.
Literally so niche that I had so much trouble coming up with questions for that, because I generally didn't know what to ask. And honestly, even like the final like interview that I kind of came up with, I was like, I'm still not too happy with this, which I think I ultimately should have just gone with an organic theme. Anyway, I found out in the end she kind of stopped replying and talking to me about it, but she still responds about other things. So apparently she had very high anxiety. Another one of us. One of us. But anyway, she was like, she's very, very anxious, and it's such a new business, so it was a lot for her running it on her own. So I got through like to Eli to ask about it, and he ended up explaining that I think it's just a lot for her right now. So I said like, oh cool, you know, I won't stress her. I just wanted to know whether I should leave like a green light one like on, or like should I just like cancel it completely and not like push someone too much. But it's interesting, just everyone's story is so different, and that's kind of why I think the connection is so important, because it's like you never know like what someone's style is or what they're trying to achieve. Like I'm kind of in the process of you can check out this guy. He's called Jay Signs. That's how you pronounce it. He's Mexican, raised in Houston, Texas. Does kind of like a bit of like a modern Latino hip hop, reggae, rap, very kind of mixed kind of genre, but has a very cool style to it. And he's really big on plants. So as soon as he was like, saw some of his videos where he did one fan kind of like packaging stuff, I guess like sort of merch, but it was basically merch sent out with like a box of those kind of like expandable things where you put water in and it expands, and you can put
I think you sent me the
and I was like, someone's stealing your brand. I was just like, this dude is right up your alley. But I just thought it was so cool. And I mentioned it to Breezy too, because he had a few really interesting things. One was when he immediately said yes to like, in the comments, you're like, oh yeah, let's do it. And then like, we're like scheduling the time now. But he's like so busy. But like on Spotify, I read it. I was like, damn, this guy might be pretty big, because it was like, oh, he's worked for Britney Spears and Pitbull and someone else that I don't recognize. And I was just like, you don't really see names for these for like small independent artists like normally. That's kind of wild. And then I saw another video while I was waiting for him where he got busy, and I was trying to schedule time, and I was like, I have the interview questions ready, let's do it. I like made it really quickly, and he was just like really quiet for a long time. I was just like, send him another email, send him a message. But not to be annoying, I just keep on liking and sharing his stuff just to make sure I'm still here.
I was going to say, you know what you should do is to make it so that so this is sales talking, right? You book a time for him.
Yeah.
Right off the rip. Don't do it like really soon. Be like, look, I've actually got this really big opportunity coming up in say 2 months on this date at this time. Let's do the interview then.
Yeah.
Like just be assumptive about it. Just be straight to the point. This is when we can do it, blah, 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 and see what he says. Because, like, realistically, in 2 months...
I know, the longer it drags out, the more I worry about it as well.
Yeah.
Like, because more things can pile up too, and then things get harder to kind of reschedule.
Yeah. So, like, from where I work in my day job now, they're all about urgency. So it's like, do it literally today, tomorrow, the next day.
Like, relevance is really important.
Yeah. The longer you leave it, you're right, the harder it is for them to... the easier it is for them to forget about it. The value doesn't seem as much. The urgency, blah blah blah. As an artist, yes,
and also questions don't become relevant anymore too.
True, but you've got so much shit going on. We'll even make it a month. You know what I mean? Like, but just like
it might be actually kind of good.
Yeah, like just push for it. Like, don't be like, oh, can we do this? Blah blah blah. Don't seem soft about it, if that makes sense. Like, you don't have to be mean. You don't have to be an asshole.
Do it now.
But just like, and create an opportunity for it. Figure something, be creative with it, figure out something and be like, look, this is something that, you know, he'll want to show up for, because you're right. Like, if he's a bigger artist as well.
What can you present for him? Yeah. Yeah,
if he's a bigger artist and you're not as big, it's like he's almost doing you a favor.
So I have to be able to.
So you've got to be able to provide some sort of value too. Like, he's probably, like, if he's cool, like, even when
he's so chill.
He seems cool to do it regardless, but he's going to have other things.
But it's good to kind of work out that for other artists. Yeah. Like, I think the artist I mentioned that I fucked up, that forgot to press record, is a guy called Tom High. So he's actually an interesting case. He was one of the artists that I kind of just hit up straight away. Yeah. It just came up, and I thought it was because he was a local, because he was like apparently he was in a street that seemed like it was in Australia, but turns out it was just Britain with the same names. Yeah. Because that happens, obviously, a lot. And he was just like, oh, okay, I think we got off to the wrong conversation and, like, you know, got confused, but he was like, I'm from the UK. And I was like, well, still works out for me, actually. In fact, I was like, I'm very familiar with the UK. I was like, interviewed 2 people already from the UK this month alone. And I was like, I was like, if you want this time or this time, I know this time works for me. Yeah. I like already actually know how to transfer the time.
Yeah, well, even that in itself is good. Like, you only give them 2 options.
Yeah, and then
like,
oh, that's easy. Yeah. So it was good. So like, we only like shifted it by an hour, so I can calculate that straight away.
Because the thing is, people like to be led. Like, if you're saying, well, I've got this time and this time, make yourself seem really busy too. Be like, I've only got this time and this time.
I usually am actually during that time.
Yeah, so and it's like, I've got this really like valuable thing. Like,
unfortunately, I can't. Like,
I can't think of anything on the spot, but like, just doing that, you'll make people. They'll be more interested and inclined to do it. That'll be a higher priority for them.
It sounds like because you have more networking opportunities as well.
Yeah.
But the thing I was going to quickly bring up was, so like Jay Sines, he went to an event that was hosted by someone else. It was really funny. So it's like this Asian guy, I don't know who he is, but he booked like a mansion, like, and then had like a whole van and everything. And he drove like, I think 16 artists altogether that he selected, and they got invited, and then basically did like this album together. So everyone just kind of worked over a certain amount. I think it was like a week or something.
I love those,
And I was just like, that's actually honestly such a cool idea. And I was like saying to Breezy, I said, if there's someone in Australia that would be fit to do that with like the right resources eventually, I was like, I feel like you would be the perfect person for that.
He's tried to set that up before. I don't know if they've actually done it yet. Him and I don't know if have you met MN Capo yet?
Capo, not in person. I just heard the song Steps.
Okay. Have you spoken to him at all?
No, not at all. Actually, I think just we've probably commented once on like each other's comments.
Start
seems like a really easy.
Yeah, start following him and get to know him because he'd be down with an interview.
I think I do follow him already. I think I've watched 1 or 2 videos. He's a very interesting guy. His content's very, very unique.
Yeah. Bro, and he's doing so much for the scene right now. If you can get an interview with him, like I'll even put a good word in for you.
Yeah,
he's very busy, but yeah, have an interview with him. The reason I say that, I think they've actually tried to set up, they called it Hitmaker Island or something.
That sounds really cool.
Where we were just going to rent out an Airbnb and do that, like just have a whole week where we create.
I don't think we would have mansions, but I mean, you know, to be fair,
it happens here. There's actually been a couple of writing camps where they do that, and they get some bigger names as well to come through, like bigger Aussie names.
Damn.
And they'll just rent out. It will be like a mansion. It'll be like 2-story, 3-story, like, but they're all chipping in for it. So like it's affordable, and they just rent it out for a week, like it'll be an Airbnb.
Yeah, and it's such a good way to improve. Like I've seen other videos of other people where a girl was in this group, and then this guy just goes, "Oh yeah, well I got to put in my part," and it's just like, "No, pussies," and then the girl's like, "Oh," and then but like because her style was so different from that, but then like eventually it all worked out, and she said like, you know, I really actually appreciate it. She was like, you know, your style is so, I mean, just out of reach for me, to be honest. She's like, but over these few days I've managed to have a crash course. And then just the way she said it was like, it was so much love but also confusion. It was just so funny because you know that she actually took away something that was useful for her, but there's just so much like humor in it as well. It's just kind of like, what the fuck, pretty much.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's harder to do here, something like that. I know it does get done, but it goes back to what we were saying before again. A lot of Aussies aren't very open-minded.
Yeah.
Like, I would fucking froth over that shit. I think I've always said no to that kind of thing because it's just time and money.
Yeah.
But, like,
it's stuff is,
it's really good for people that are, like, open and willing to experiment because it's like, imagine getting 10 different, like, producers, artists, all together that all do different things, but you're stuck together for a week just creating. Like, you're going to come up with some really cool shit.
I think, like, a good area to start with, and this is something suggested by someone else. I actually forgot who suggested this to me, but it was talking about, you know, like, I'm trying to work on, like, sort of like a summit for, like, or like conference for, like, music artists.
Yeah.
At least until, like, someone else more suitable can take over. But, like, I think from one of the videos I've seen, there's 2 British guys that do their content is basically they always collab, and they would go on Discord and they get different topics every time they do it. So one of them was like, one week was like, they're both like sort of beat makers and DJs, and what they do is like one of the weeks it would say like, for example, this week you have to work with ringtones. So it'd be like Nokia ringtones or iPhone ringtones, and then you have to make a track out of that. And they have a Discord channel, so a bunch of people can also submit their work. And they can review that. And the idea for me and Bree to go out on the street and get noises, that's also from one of their video ideas, which we thought was really cool. So you could also start from there, like to kind of build that connection and bring. I mean, like if there's any industry easier, like that's, you know, easy for like people to connect is probably in the music industry in Australia. That's probably the friendliest group of people you would ever meet that quickly builds connections and are so open to like letting you into their like comfort zone in their world.
Yeah.
So like you could just go like, let's go to the park and, you know, like have 5 of us who have never met before but are interested in collabing. Let's just play around some beats, you know, even with the background noises, and we can just work with that and just get to know each other and know each other's style. I think that would be really cool, and I think like Discord probably is a good place to start. I will say for like starters though, I cannot work my head around Discord. It confuses the shit out of me. I went in there trying to interview someone once because he only uses Discord, and it ended up falling through because I was so lost. I went in, I was like, I don't know who I'm talking to. There's too many people. Which section is this? Is this a general chat, or is this fans? Is this like the Discord manager, or where are you in this chat? And I was like,
years ago, it used to be super simple. It's so complex now. There's a lot of shit going on.
I mean, nothing is more nerve-wracking and anxiety-building than like going into an app and then immediately having like 10 subsections to one thing, and you've not even been like given like a tour of like how to go. So like some apps actually go, this is how you use it. Now Discord is just like, you should know better.
Yeah.
And like,
well, because I think because it's been around for so long and so many people have used it that they just expect everyone to just have to use it.
I'm getting there. I know. I did kind of want to ask you actually, like, I think a really interesting question I wanted to know about you is, It's funny because I thought of this question while I was facing just now. So I was thinking about, wow, your place is so like well clean, like maintained. I was like, obviously you moved out at a pretty decently young age, right? And you know, you became pretty self-sufficient, I'm assuming, because like you had a rougher sort of upbringing. What would you say was kind of like, I guess like what was it like for you, and also what was like the biggest thing that kind of like surprised you or like was a struggle for you, presented challenges for you, I guess, when you were moving out and trying to start like becoming independent or planning to become independent? Like, were you well thought out or planned about the experience?
I think the biggest thing that shocked me was other people, like finding so when I first moved out, right, like nothing shocked me in the sense of, you know, being self-sufficient and stuff. That I was already doing, living with my mum. She was the one. She was the one that was telling me, when you move out, you're going to struggle. Like, you don't realize how hard it is, blah blah blah. But
that's good advice.
But in saying that, I did everything. I cleaned all my own stuff. I cleaned stuff for her. Even I made all my own food. I bought my own groceries. I did everything myself. And since I dropped out of school when I was 17, I had to pay her a quarter of my wage as part of board money because she started losing the
I actually think that's a good thing, though.
Parent benefits.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a good system.
Yeah.
Gets you into like the society kind of system faster.
I wish I didn't. I still see it as that way. But at the same time, like, I don't know if I'd be in the position I am and as disciplined as I am if I didn't do that. So there's a
like, I think it teaches you budgeting, at least. In the very least.
But in saying that, I've never been able to get ahead, right? If I had that opportunity to get ahead at that time,
usually what, like
a lot of people that get jobs, right? Like, they don't know how to control their money, they just spend it, blah, blah, blah. And then they get a normal job, and they're not like me where they invest money, and, you know, they, like, money to them is like, yeah, even if they move out, they're still paying bills and stuff, but they have all this extra money that they just spend, right? I've never had that, ever. And I feel like that's a good thing. So I had all that side sort of regardless. I'm going a bit off topic. But when I first moved out, right, I moved out with someone I've been friends with for fucking over 10 years. Like, we're all friends from high school, very close group, blah, blah, blah.
That's not the one the song's about, is it?
Yeah, it is.
Oh my God.
And I think the biggest thing that surprised me is, like, I was very close to him. I was good mate, like, best friends with him, right? Like, and I knew he was shit to live with, but I was like, look, I'll be able to deal with it. But
so we think.
It really surprised me and showed his true colours, getting to know him even more on that personal level. Like, he fucked me over, he fucked my partner over, and still, to this day, like, refuses to admit he did anything wrong.
It's so true when they say that. That's why, like, when, for example, when you're dating someone, it's so important to also suss out how it is living with the mate before getting married. And things can change so
very differently. Yeah. Which is another challenge, I think. like my partner lives with me, she's here every now and then, you know what I mean? But I know that's going to be another hurdle to jump when we do move out, because we're very different with how we live.
Also, if you're both home, like, one thing I've noticed that like one of my close friends, the friend I mentioned that wanted me to house it, when you're both home, like, bodies, because at one stage only one of them was working, but at least one of them was out, like, now they're both often at home, like, when there's that much time together, there's a lot more chance for conflict because people are in each other's spaces, and it's not healthy either. So, like, that in itself is also a thing. Like, when you're both couch potatoes, it can work really good in your favor, but it could also really rub things the wrong way.
Yeah, I think that's why it's always important to not set rules for each other, but be open in conversation about how you feel and, you know, like, just stuff like that. Because it was the same with my mum, right? Like, me and my mum are very different. We conflicted a lot living with each other, and we were very open with the facts. Like, when we got older, we used to fight all the time, like, throughout my whole life, and it's because we were so different. Like, I want to be in my own space, I want to work on my own stuff. That's how I've always been. I just want me time. Like, I'm a very big introvert, whereas she is literally no boundaries at all. Fucking barge in my room, talk for like an hour to me while I'm trying to do shit.
She might be Asian. She might be Asian.
But, like, just no personal space to myself, and that's what I needed, you know what I mean? And so that's why we used to...
as a growing team.
Yeah, we used to conflict a lot. And as we got older, she understood more that that's what I needed and respected it. Didn't always give it to me, but at least understood it. And I think that's really important. And now that I've moved out, she understands it even more, and I think it brings us closer regardless, because like you said, when you're living with someone full time, you're literally around them all the fucking time. And for me, with my mum, it's like, because I'm not around her all the time, it makes me appreciate the time with her more. When you see someone every single fucking day and they piss you off every single day, it's hard to want to spend time with them. Do you know what I mean? I'm saying this on camera. My mum knows this. We're very open to each other. Like, I'm not talking shit.
I can tell. And I think, like, also it kind of refers back to when we're talking about sort of like burnout, and also like, slowing down and kind of producing quality content. It's very much about like being able to digest. Like, that's why it's good to like take a break from short things, like fast content, and not see them all the time. It's because it gives you a bit of time to digest and think about things. It's kind of like when you're working out what you want in life, all that kind of stuff, or like with people. I know like relationships, so there's a lot of couples, we're going off topic a bit, but like couples often also have like good habits of 1 week checkup or something. So they sit down and they'll go like, here's stuff that didn't work for me this week and stuff that was good for me this week. And is there something I can do for you, blah blah blah. And people are changing, so like that's actually a good habit, I think, to have.
Off topic as well, like, because me with my partner, we're very much like that. Like, we went through a break period, and it was very messy, and we weren't open with each other. We're a lot more open with each other. We tell each other how we feel, no matter fucking what. But something we introduce, which is very important, is like, we set a time aside for like a date once a month. We make sure we go and do something together, because it becomes so easy when you see each other. When you see each other all the time, it becomes so easy to like.
People forget about the excitement of like romance.
It becomes mundane because you're just around each other all the time. It's like having a friend around, you know what I mean?
And I think that's where a lot of, like, for me, where I see gay couple relationships often fizzle out. Like, there's so many couples I've seen that I followed this year, where it just seems like they finally made it, and then like there's even one couple that was basically just engaged, I think no more than like a few months ago, and actually recently just suddenly saw one of them pop up on the video and like announce that they've actually separated, and like they are no longer together, and they just wanted to announce it so people don't keep asking questions. And I'm just like, that's just so wild that you've got into the point of wanting to engage with someone, but then just suddenly realized that you've, like, from the other person's video, he said he realized he lost himself completely as a person. So he was very, very much attached to his partner, to a point that he just suddenly realized that he was completely lost as a person, and that wasn't how he wanted to live his life. And then he had to start all over again, going on solo dates, taking himself to like just enjoy food on his own. And he said like even that was making him anxious. And I was like, he's right. It sucks, but it's like, that's really unhealthy. Like, that's really something I can relate to, because I tend to give a lot when I start dating someone and get overly, like, I tend to overdo things a lot. Like, I'll either give too much too soon, or I'll be like talking too much too soon. And then like a lot of that just either overwhelms people, but it also very quickly gets lost to a point where I'm just like, oh, I should be like, how much time is like too much time to dedicate to this person. I don't want them thinking I'm like. But then, like, I realized that then, like, 80% of my thought is revolving around thinking about how this person feels, and none of us actually even checking whether that person even feels that way.
Oh, bro, it's so common. That's literally called love. Like, wait.
Romance.
It's like that is what the honeymoon phase is. You know what I mean? It's when it's like
lost in the sauce.
Yeah, exactly.
Essentially,
I think it's so important to have your own thing as individuals and not become obsessed over each other, because that never ends well. Because, like you said, you get to a point where you're both like, oh, we're going to do everything together. Like, we're going to spend all this time together. You end up like becoming a different person for the worse, because you have nothing to ground yourself as a person, and it just never ends well. Like, I've had past relationships, the one before I'm in now, that's exactly what happened, where I won't go into too much detail on it, but like, it ended in a way where she became someone and I became someone that I couldn't be around that for my own mental health, you know what I mean? And it's because we just spent all this time together and we didn't work on our own individual things. And then it got to a point where I wanted to work on my own stuff and she didn't, and it just created this friction. And it's like, you've got to set that boundary from the start and be solid about it. Like, even though that honeymoon phase where it's like, it feels great, you're like, no, I don't give a fuck, like, I'm gonna do this for you, spend all this time with you. It's like, no, you've got to ground yourself and make that clear from the jump. Otherwise, it just never works.
like me and Akatana in our recent interview, we brought up a point about, because we touched on relationships too, and we said that like when it comes to talking about, because the topic was essentially saying that, you know, when you're fresh out of a relationship or like when you're slightly damaged or something like that, sometimes you feel like I'm not ready to, obviously, because like people go like, oh, you have to be ready, you know, like, or like you have to know yourself to kind of, and I said like, I think the important thing to acknowledge here is, yes, you don't have to be ready to be in a relationship because you're never going to be fully ready. I think the important question is to like ask whether you are going to hurt someone or not. Like if you're in a place of trauma where you need actual help, where you need to fix something, but it's not something you can work on with the help of a partner, that's where you have to draw the line. And I think it's very important to learn. And that's why it's important to kind of know yourself to a degree, because that's where you kind of will be able to differentiate and regulate these kind of things.
That's such a solid point. That's such a smart point.
It's really,
it's so fucking true. Yeah,
it's muddy waters essentially for these topics.
Because I won't say who it is, right? But there is a story of someone that I do know that's close with my partner, and they're gay, right? So she's a female, and she just got out of so she's been in a relationship now for like a year and a half sort of thing, but she was in a relationship for a long time and she got cheated on, and then she jumped into this new relationship very early on. I don't know how long it actually was, but it was very quick, so just say a month for purpose sake. And she jumped into this relationship, and it's now been a year and a half, and now she's got all these trust issues and all this trauma that she still has because she never dealt with that herself and jumped straight into another relationship. So I think that's such a valid point.
And it's so unfair on the other person because you're essentially just trauma dumping on someone else, like all this stuff. Like I remember, I think there was a time when I bottled up a lot of shit, and it was like when I was using drugs and stuff. And there was actually a person that was kind of more like a friends with benefit kind of thing. We were just starting to become more friends than like just benefits, and it was very strange, a very strange relation. I don't recommend, by the way. We're no longer friends because mostly on my end it was very messy, so I got things very complicated. But he was trying to be really nice, and then I kind of had a moment of like, yes, world is coming down in one go, and I just like gave him like a huge paragraph or summary of like just dumping everything that I bottled up, and he was just like, first off, you cannot do that to someone. And I was just like, you're right, I'm so sorry. And he was just like, you just gave me like, well, I don't know what you gave me, but I don't like that. And I was just like, that sums up the conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't do that to anyone ever.
Yeah.
Like, be actually consistent with, I think this is why it's like honest to like, we should be more honest about just like when you feel shit, say you feel shit. It's okay if like to not like dump it on other people, but just say like, yeah, I'm not having a great day today. I don't feel like chatting. You know, but like, you know, just to let you know.
I think it's when it's your partner, you have to. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, it is your partner. It's a different part of you. It's literally like you're one. You know what I mean? Like. You have to.
If you can't trust them on these kind of things, I feel like there is a problem there to begin with. They're probably not the right person.
Even if you're not comfortable, like if you normally feel shit and you're not comfortable telling people you feel shit, you have to tell your partner regardless. You have to tell someone.
You have to let it out somewhere as well, because eventually then, well, this is what happens.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing that again.
Like your partner, like, and I think it makes it hard for people, especially if they've been broken in the past, to open up and be vulnerable.
Yeah.
But that's what being with someone is.
Those are usually a pretty common one.
Yeah.
Apparently they sometimes even shake and stuff.
But that's what being with a person is. If you're not ready to do that, then don't get into the relationship in the first place.
Yeah. And I like mentioned that in like, and I'm planning to talk more about that in other episodes. Like I think a lot of like sort of straight relationships these days, a lot of issue with like you being like obviously a good characteristic, like a good model for like a good partner for like from the male side, because like a lot of straight relationships are off to a bad start, and with the whole male loneliness epidemic is and they're not willing to listen because men are apparently pretty bad at that. But
I can confirm that.
Same. So funny. But honestly, the main thing, like, and it's funny because at least we kind of catch on, and so many people just literally can be in the conversation and it's like happening right now, and they'll be like still like just trying to say something without listening to what's actually happening. And it's just like they still kind of view it in the traditional kind of thing, like women are like possession. That's one toxic trait already. There's like even, I I've seen like some wild videos today. One was like a father talking about his daughters. He said, you know, when you see a woman, you know, and you see vagina, and I was just like, oh, this is already not a good video. And I mean, for me, at least, I'm gay, so that's definitely not a good video. And I was like, but then I see my two daughters running around like naked and like, you know, with their panties off, and I was just like, time to go into the comments. And it was just not a healthy video. You just know this man is not right. And people were like, check his computer. And it's like this other really great video, which was a woman on a dating show with this man, and the man clearly had trust issues. So they were having brunch and they were talking, and the woman was very level-headed, very respectful with the way she conducted this conversation. And she said like, oh, well, like, you know, say, like, do you think like a man, like a woman should not have male friends? And he said, ideally, I don't think they should, like, because, you know, like, what's going to happen? And she said, well, you know, for example, I have a friend that I have been very close to for over 10 years. We're very long-term friends. We trust each other very much. Have been in each other like through thick and thick. And he goes, yeah, well, like, you know, but I wouldn't want you to hang out with him. Like she was like, so you wouldn't want to let me go hang out with him? I just said I was going to go hang out at his place. And he's like, not without me being with you. And she's like, and you can tell, she's like, this man isn't healthy. And she's like, well, and she's trying to like kind of present it in a scenario easy to understand for him. But you can tell he wasn't quite listening or like really trying to understand or get into her shoes in that matter. And so she goes, look, for example, like you travel a lot. She was like, you can't expect me to always be like only hang out with people when you're there. She said, and you know, you want a partner that lives their own lives. Like I have a life that I need to live myself. I can't be revolving my entire life around you.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's such a well point, and more women need to hear that. And I was like, no, more young kids should hear that as well. And she said, you know, like you need to have your own habits, your own hobbies. She's like, that's not healthy otherwise. And she's like, and it's not balanced. And the guy was just like, yeah, I don't like that. And I was just like, that's literally the most immature response of one person could ever present in a dating scenario. And I was like, and he laughed, and you can just tell they became so
probably just trolling, to be honest.
I know. He was just like, at that point you can tell both have made the decision that this wasn't right for them, because one wanted a submissive person and one actually wanted someone dateable.
Yeah.
And let's just say that was very clear this was not a match.
Yeah.
But it's wild, yeah. Relationships is I think it's such a learning curve, and the whole thing we're talking about people in Australia just having issues with, I mean, China apparently just released a model of AI real life robots, which look really realistic, like to the point where it's uncomfortable.
I think I saw part of that because there was a robot that broke
the torso version or the full body version.
I think it was a full body, but it was a robot that broke a world record for like, it was the most packed packages in a certain time or some shit.
God.
Like they come through a conveyor belt and they just like fully wrap it and pass it on as, yeah.
Well, this one was it's a companion robot. So I was like, oh, the companion robots are finally making a debut.
Yeah.
And they're like, so, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I looked in the comments, first comment was literally from someone with very, very much their head screwed on, said they'll do anything, people these days, but just talk to anyone, like a real person. And I'm like, yeah, honestly, I was like, I mean, I have anxiety and stuff, and I was like, and I still actually value real connections over like talking to a robot. Like I would not jump on ChatGPT and go, I'm lonely, tell me a story. Like I'd probably call a friend.
I think that's why humans like will never be fully replaced by AI, right? Like
it's going to be.
I feel like it's going to have its moment where AI is really going to take over, but then people are going to miss that human connection and try and fight for that back. Like I feel like people
are going to wake up to it very quickly.
Yeah, people are going to get sucked into it. Like, and people already are. Like people don't. There's some people that use AI as tools, and other people that use it as like a crutch,
like a guideline.
Yeah, like they have to use it. They don't know any other way, and it's getting worse and worse. And I feel like it will get to a point where it will revert back the other way. It's the same with housing, right? Like, there's always concessions. There's always stuff that happens where it's like it becomes really fucking expensive. No one can afford it. Then they come right down. Like it'll be the same thing. You know what I mean?
It's kind of a cycle.
Yeah.
I mean, to take it on a funnier level, like a little funnier, light-hearted spin. There's like videos of people saying like, you know, for example, some people take it as far as going like, does this put like a peanut in it? And it'd be like pretty obvious if you just check the products. And then it just like cuts to the scene where like
Someone's typing.
Someone's just like on the floor with a peanut jar or something, and then they're like, "You're right. Actually, this product does in fact have peanut." And I'm just like, "That's so true though," because apparently they do make mistakes pretty often.
Yeah.
And I think like I was thinking earlier on, I think because AI actually divides into two very decisive areas. One category is it's very objective with what you give it in terms of instructions. So that will ignore the knowledge and work on objective alone. Then its knowledgeable part is more like a different section. So like, if you wanted to use its knowledge for something, it would just then actually reach for and search for like a Google search engine. So really you're kind of like have to know how to use it to kind of cut time and cost and work on something more efficiently. That's pretty much all you really should be using it for. Otherwise, yeah.
Well, yeah, as I said, it's a tool. Like, I think the problem with people that like, you hear a lot, and I see a lot every fucking day, is people use it for emotion-based questions.
Oh God,
that's the problem.
I can't believe people are going like, "Oh, should I break up with this person?" And I'm like, asking a friend if you should break up sometimes rather than talking to the actual person is already bad enough. Asking like a computer that, which literally cannot feel emotions at this stage, is kind of wild. Yeah,
I don't know. Like that's like, even as I mentioned before, in my job, there's actually people that say they have everything in place when it comes to work health safety, but it's like they've literally done all their contracts and everything through AI. And then they're getting pinched by Fair Work because it doesn't reach the legal requirements. They're like, "But no, I've set everything up, blah, blah, blah." It's like, it's not how it works, brother. Like,
people just don't listen sometimes. It's like, you can dumb it down to like literally like 3 words, or like skip all the essential words, and then they'll be like, but then repeat the same thing in a different sentence structure, and just like, that's almost all straight men in a nutshell, unfortunately. Oh, actually, I shouldn't say that. I think I should just say men, because unfortunately, some gay people also do that.
Yeah. We're
just a little bit more feminine, so like in touch with our feminine side. So a lot of us happen to be a little bit more, but we have other issues, I would say. Let's just say we balance it out with other problems.
Yeah.
We have our own different versions of toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
Like people will go only masculine, and then people will make the joke like, I love it when you meet like the biggest rugged man and they're like, "Hi baby, how you doing?" And I'm like, yeah, that's happened far too often for comfort.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think we should probably wrap it up there. That seems like a pretty decently long episode. I will want to ask one last thing. What do you think is like one of the most proud thing, I guess, you feel like that you've accomplished so far after like since moving out, I guess, at this point?
I think it is moving out and getting this new job in something I'm not familiar with at all. Like, I just took the biggest fucking leap.
Yeah.
Because I was becoming miserable at my last job. Like, the hours were so demanding. One of the people I worked with was so negative all the time and violent. Like, it was just hard to be around, but it's because we were working so many fucking hours. He had his own personal shit going on at home. He was smoking every day just to fucking deal with shit. Because he has really bad ADHD and it does help with that. But when he's at work, he's not...
Yeah,
he hasn't smoked, so like...
So it's just...
And yeah, he's like... When we started getting really hectic, his father had passed away, so he took time off then. And so I don't think he ever dealt with that, plus all the chaos that happens at home. We're just under the pump all the time. He's just so negative, it's so hard bearing. He's a lovely bloke, don't get me wrong, but yeah, I think
like we said, like when you don't have time, nothing gets processed, right? Because you don't have time to even digest it.
Yeah.
And grief is something you really need time.
Yeah, and the boss himself, like, I probably got along with him the most out of everyone, which was fun. But yeah, he just put on way too much work all the time, and none of us could manage it, but all the responsibility fell on us. And so, like, he was working way more than we were. We were working stupid hours.
But it's a lot more easy to digest that when you're the owner. I think a lot of owners don't realize that.
Yeah.
Because you're running your business and your dream.
Yeah.
Whereas you can't really expect everyone to fall underneath that same thing. Like,
yeah.
They'll do it to a degree when you're a good boss, but it will eventually cut short.
Yeah. And I think that busy period lasted like a year and a half or some shit. Like, it just didn't stop. And I was breaking down. I was like, I needed to get out of there, but I was comfortable there. Like, it was just one of those fucking situations. I'd been told by my mum, my partner, my music manager, everyone kept saying, "Get the fuck out of there," blah, blah, blah. Yeah. It took me a long time to get to that point, But then I finally like started working myself back up. I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to take that leap. My lease was ending at that month as well. I'm like, oh, do I fucking just send it? Like, I've been saying I want to move closer to everywhere for so long. Do I just fucking send it? I was like, financially, I'm not going to be able to do it. The first time I moved, well, not the first time, when I moved into that house, I was in the exact same position where I was like, fuck, financially, I'm not going to be able to do it. Like, I'm not going to be able to do it, blah, blah, blah. And I made it fucking work. So I just went back to that moment and I was like, screw it, I'm just going to send it, I'm going to make it work. Everyone around me calls me crazy for doing it. All the time I hear it from my mum, she's like, you're a fucking idiot, don't fucking do it, you're not going to be able to do it, you're crazy. My partner says the same shit and I just block it all out and like, I'm just going to do everything all at once. And yeah, and I'm now in the position I am and I'm just climbing the ranks again, you know, always trying to improve, grow as a person. So I think that's definitely, at the moment, probably my proudest moment.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with like what I've heard so far. Like, I think, and I often refer to this, like, I think in light of being balanced, you are always like a very good inspiration in that area for me in terms of really like, I guess like the hustle. Mm-hmm. When it comes down to the hustle, but also considering things like innovatively, like thinking outside of the box, you know, connection, like, I think like it was your Spotify, like whoever wrote it, like wrote pretty good stuff down, said something about your legacy being kind of like strength, emotional, I don't know what I wrote there, purpose, strength, and something about emotions, but I guess like connections and stuff. But like I would say like, yeah, you definitely like have that. It's very good. Like you're a very balanced person, but you're also very, very strong-minded and also like do like really hustle for whatever you want to achieve, and you do put a lot on your plate. I think like the only thing you ever always have to be like slightly more aware of is like making sure you have a bit of balance, because you do need the rest, which I've gotten a lot better at, by the way. Yeah, and I have noticed that, and because you're young, so it's obviously easy to like, because I remember the reason why I made that care package for you, I said I remember when I was young I would go a little bit too far with that job that I was working at, because I loved baking and it was a new job. I got excited because I sucked at talking to people, and I finally was able to even talk to strangers. You know, who knew like giving away samples would be hard. You know, like trying to get words out about like what cake it is. It's just like, it's just chocolate cake, it's not that hard. But you know, things like that. And I think for you it's even more important because you have a, like you said, you told me, you don't really have a huge group of people that you socialize with, but they're all like very, you know, integral, good people. And that's what like really usually counts. But that means obviously time with them does matter. And I think it would be healthy for you obviously in the long run, because, you know, we all need a little bit of that siesta time. I probably have too much of it sometimes, but, but you know, balance. Honestly, we're working on our own balances. I think that whole situation with my housemate was probably one of the best things that happened to me, because it was a group that I had grown out of, but because I'd known them for so long, because I was close to them for so long, like I didn't want to detach from that, if that makes sense. Like they were still my friends at the end of the day. But I think that whole situation that happened, like, that was pulling me more and more away from what I was trying to achieve. One of the things, and I feel like it sounds so like what's the word? Like not pessimistic, but like, you know, I'm trying to focus on my things. I'm cutting out the noise. You know what I mean? Like it just sounds like a dark thing to do, but. I think there's a couple of quotes that sum up this area really well, and because I'm a very nostalgic person too, and I don't know if you are too, like empaths as well also tend to be that way. But it says, it basically says, one reminder, one side is it's, you have to remember that being able to be reminiscent of your past is a blessing, because, you know, you've been able to experience things and live that long to have that. The other thing is, but don't live in the past, because when you're in the past you'll be the only one there. And I think those were two recent really good quotes that I come across that really kind of, what's the word, phrase for it, like calls out to me. Because it's very easy to kind of go, oh, I wish I did that, or that was a good time, you know, especially for example, say dating. Like I remember when I was younger, it was very easy to go on dates, but they were all really bad dates in hindsight. Like things just happen way too fast. I mean, you know, you don't sit on someone's couch on the first date and then just start making out. That's a really bad choice. Personally, learned that in very recent years. I turned out to be a basement kind of mama's boy kind of person. Hey, I think everyone, it happens to everyone, right? Like it happens. We all go through. We live and we learn. It was a wild time. That man was not good to hospitality people too. Very bad traits, red flag. But yeah, so stuff like that, you know, we all learn.
That's it.
Okay, with that, I think we'll call it an episode.
It's been a
Thanks
pleasure.
again for joining the episode and hanging out with my friend TGAR here. Yeah, we're sure we'll have more exciting things and episodes to share this year. Check out his new song, Blood Roads, and Euthanize Our Boots. That's also a really good one. And if you want to know about The Friend, that song is
Bare minimum.
one of my favorites.
Check out the whole album. It's called Past, Present, Future. I'll plug all my stuff.
Nice. It'll all be in the description below as well. All right. Keep up the sunshine. I'll see you in the next episode. Cheers. That was a pretty long episode.
Yeah, that's good.
I was like,